I was out one night with my parents and we stumbled across this card shop. And there, on the shelf, were these 4 Yu-Gi-Oh! Starter decks. At 6 years old, I remember feeling like the choice between these decks was the most important decision I had ever made. What I didn't realize is that this was actually the beginning of my long relationship with trading card games. Trading card games have come and gone for me over the years. There's ones I liked mostly just for the game itself, and there's others where I just kinda like the look of the cards. Or in some cases, I just wanted to open some booster packs. But there's always been something about Yu-Gi-Oh! That no matter how long it's been, I always somehow cross paths with it again and again. For some reason, wherever I go, these cards will follow. I don't know what was going on in the late 90s and early 2000s, but character designs were so good. I just don't feel like the various sequels on sequels have ever felt quite as memorable and timeless as those first few generations of these things. And I think there's definitely a reason for that. And there's no better example of why that might be than when you look at Yu-Gi-Oh! Yugi is such a fucking crazy looking character, but he doesn't look weird or untasteful. In fact, he looks really cool. And the same can be said for every main character in Yu-Gi-Oh! Every design feels fresh and distinct. And I think a big part of the reason for this is that their creator, Kazuki Takahashi, was someone who had a very pure and almost childlike love for the world and the characters he created. But maybe most importantly was Takahashi's love for games, and how Yu-Gi-Oh! As a game can be a means to connect with other people. I've gone through a lot of different phases of playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And weirdly, almost every time has felt like a complete accident. I'll just stumble into someone or an entire group of people who just happen to have a passing interest in the game, and then from there, I'll grab my old deck, throw in a few new cards, and pretty much pick up exactly where I left off. There's 2 big things about that I think are not only really special, but also almost entirely exclusive to Yu-Gi-Oh! The first being that all my favorite cards I cherished as a kid I could still use to this day. My deck at its core hasn't really changed since I was about 9 years old. From the Dark Neos I pulled randomly out of a booster pack after school, to the Wing Karibo I traded with my best friend, the Magic Cylinder my older brother beat me with in one of my first real games, or the Rainbow Dragon I saved up weeks for, a piece of cardboard that, to this day, I still have a huge emotional attachment to. Or my white whale, Grand Neos. You know, for a guy that really likes Gurren Lagann, there's a pinch of irony in the fact that the drill hero has eluded me for my entire life. Every waking moment I search for this card and there is nothing. Just an empty, drill-shaped void. If this was Tokyo Revengers, I wouldn't bother messing around with gangs or whatever. I'd go back, I'd go to the card shop, and I'd buy that 2007 collector's tin, because this card haunts me in my dreams. My point is, every card in here is attached to some kind of memory and carries some sort of meaning. And over time, new sets and new support cards wouldn't just throw them under the rug. They would add to them and continue the story that is my deck. And the second, somehow, no matter what age I am or where I go, I stumble into somebody who I can play this game with. Everyone I know has had some kind of interaction with Yu-Gi-Oh! So with that in mind, it's only a matter of time before I meet somebody who's actually down to play. That said, there was one occasion I had nobody. So this is so lame. I built a spare deck, and I taught my mum how to play, which was actually really nice. My mom was insanely busy with work all the time growing up, so getting to sit down and just spend half an hour with her a few nights a week was really comforting as a shy 11-year-old. And that's exactly what I think Takahashi wanted Yu-Gi-Oh to be about. When you sit across the table with someone when you play Yu-Gi-Oh, even though you're interacting almost exclusively through the gameplay, it feels like you're getting to know that person. And in the same way the cards I use hold some kind of meaning to me, in most cases, the person sitting across from me has gone through the exact same thing. The deck they built is like a reflection of themselves. So when your cards and theirs collide, it doesn't just feel like you're playing some game. It feels like the culmination of your experience with this game and theirs have suddenly connected. Yu-Gi-Oh! As a story and as a game is about interesting characters crossing paths and connecting with each other. To put it simply, there is heart to these cards. And that's a feeling I haven't gotten from any other card game I've played. From the very first moment I saw those starter decks on the shelf and chose which one I liked the most, something about Yu-Gi-Oh! Felt personal. This deck is a representation of my love for this game, and over the years it would grow and evolve just as I have. And the groups of friends I play with, and the places I live, or the hobby shops I go to, would change almost entirely. But these cards, this extension of myself, would never leave my side. And everywhere I go, I'll probably end up taking this little deck box with me. So thanks, Takahashi, for a childhood I'll take with me forever.